personally would rather have coffee or brunch with someone than go. I don't drink. I find it unproductive.
What's she order? I have respect for the individuals that are in the pornography industry, and we live in a free country, so if you want to watch it, turn on your...
Give them cleavage? Then people want cleavage. Showcase it.
Sex sells, babe.
Sex sells. That's me.
That's against religion.
It's not. It's within the confines of marriage.
New footage just dropped, and it's turning everything Erika Kirk ever said about herself completely upside down. A video has surfaced showing her very drunk, partying hard with friends in New York City, the same time she claimed she never went out and lived quietly through her roommate. So now the big question everyone's asking is, did Charlie actually know who he was really marrying? Some people are convinced Charlie was straight up deceived after all. He had zero dating experience before Erika came into his life, but others are saying he was in on the whole thing from the start. Either way, it's hard to wrap your head around how Charlie missed all the signs, because Erika's life before him was anything but private. Beauty pageants, modeling campaigns, music videos, reality TV shows, and on top of all that, her social media was full of nights out, parties, and drinks with friends. And yet somehow, she had Charlie believing she was a devout Christian conservative trad wife who stayed pure for 5 years before meeting him. Nothing about that math adds up. And just when you think it can't get stranger, it does.
I go to bed at like midnight or sometimes even later. And then when we are here in Tulsa together, we don't go to bed the first night until like 3-ish because we stay up talking because it's like a slumber party.
Right, you're catching up with your best friend.
Because Erika apparently ran the exact same playbook on her ex-boyfriends too. There's footage of her talking about slumber parties and sleepovers with her ex, JT Massey, using what sounds like the same script, just with a different person in the role. That's not a coincidence, that's a pattern! Now, this new party footage? It was originally posted by Erika's cousin, Nicole Rothstein, the same woman Erika called just her roommate. The clips show the two of them living it up in New York City, hitting clubs, and there's even a moment where Erika is showing off liquor bottles right there in their apartment. And it only gets messier from there. At one point in the footage, Erika appears completely gone laughing, stumbling around the kitchen like she owns the place. But wait, there's more. Another clip shows Erika straight up mocking Catholic nuns inside a museum. Now, to be fair, if this was anybody else, nobody would care. Most young women in their 20s sets living in New York City have nights like these, and that's completely normal. The real problem here isn't the partying. The problem is that Erika has been caught repeatedly lying about who she was before Charlie. She claims she didn't drink. She claims she didn't date for 5 years. She claims she was a devoted Catholic her whole life.
Like 2 a.m. and I'd be like, we're having a sleepover. Like, this is really cool. I have a sleepover for the rest of my life with my best friend. Like, there's just like this hyper obsession. I'm still heavily obsessed with my husband. I always will be.
But the footage tells a completely different story, drinking, clubbing, and even clowning on nuns. Sure, people change and grow, but why lie about it? Why not just own your past instead of painting yourself as this untouchable, holier-than-thou trad wife? Or at the very least, why not just stay quiet about it? It's Erika's obsessive need to rewrite her own history that keeps raising red flags for people. And the lies don't stop at the big stuff either. She's out here fibbing about the most random, unnecessary details. Take her birthday, for example. Erika's public profile lists her birthday as November 20th, but her mum Laurie's divorce paperwork says she was born on November 22nd. 2 days! Why would anyone change their birthday by 2 days? It changes absolutely nothing unless the whole point is to keep things blurry and confusing. Because here's the thing, in the world of intelligence and strategy, confusion is a tool.
What alarms me about Erika isn't so much the fact that she lies, which we will prove to you over and over again, but it's also the fact that I don't know that she's aware that she's lying. It's almost as though she doesn't remember. Like the version that she's telling us today or yesterday was just recently downloaded into her mind, and she therefore thinks it's true. Like a faulty memory or something. I'm saying that I'm not sure if she's fully aware that she's lying, because it's like some of the lies are so stupid. She's just sort of going.
You sprinkle in tiny, pointless lies to keep people chasing insignificant details like a mismatched birthday or a drink she wasn't supposed to have. It's a distraction, and it's working. And while everyone's busy chasing nonsense, the real story keeps slipping away unnoticed. So when Erika publicly says she doesn't drink, and then that footage surfaces showing her doing exactly that, maybe that's also part of the playbook. Think about it. If everyone's deep in her old Instagram posts trying to prove she drinks or count how many men she dated, nobody's looking at the bigger picture. Like those serious allegations suggesting that both Erika and her mom may have ties to intelligence operations. Because what if everything Erika does, every lie, every performance, is exactly what she was conditioned to do from a very young age? Even Candace Owens recently flagged how something feels deeply off about the way Erika lies. It's almost like she remembers things but doesn't know what's real anymore, or like she's been reciting a script someone handed her a long time ago. And the red flags were always there, long before things took a dark turn for Charlie. Remember that strange moment on his show when Erika couldn't recall her own wedding date or her children's birthdays? How does a woman who built her entire public identity around being Charlie's wife suddenly go blank on the most important date of her adult life? That's not forgetfulness, that's something else entirely.
Well, this one's easy. How long have you been married, and when did you know it was time to get married?
We've been married since 2021.
Mm-hmm.
Engaged 2020.
So it'll be 4 years.
4 years. We laugh about this because our dates are so messed up because of babies, meaning there's so many dates to remember.
And then there's the pageant story, another version of events that just doesn't hold up. Erika claims she stumbled into the Miss USA competition after randomly receiving a pamphlet in the mail, with zero preparation and zero prior experience. But records show Erika was competing in beauty pageants from 2005 all the way through 2012. That's 7 straight years of performing, training, and learning how to work a crowd on command. She later tried to claim the 2012 Miss Arizona competition was her very first introduction to the pageant world. But a photo tells a completely different story. There's Erika, right up on stage at the Miss Colorado USA pageant, which took place back in late 2009. And here's where the Intel asset angle really starts to gain some serious traction. According to Candace Owens, it was actually Erika's own mother, Lori, who pushed her into the pageant world and trained her for it. And once you start pulling on the thread that is Lori Fransby, you fall straight into a whole new rabbit hole. The same pattern of conflicting information that surrounds Erika, it runs just as deep with Lori. Across various documents, Lori shows up under different names and aliases: Lori, Loretta, Lori Ann.
Was it after that, that's when you started pageants? Or when did that come about?
Right. So the pageant world to me is something that it was an interesting season of life. It was nothing that I was ever groomed for. It was nothing that was ever on my radar. I wanted to play professional basketball.
Tomboy.
That was my thing. I remember getting something in the mail when I had come home from school one summer, and it was like, hey, you should compete at Miss Arizona USA. Someone nominated you. And I was like, I don't know who would nominate me for that, but okay.
And just like her daughter, the story keeps shifting depending on where you look. Then there's the single mother lie, and this one is bold. Just days after Charlie's passing, the New York Times ran a profile on Erika, and she told them that raising her children alone would be the least traumatizing thing because she herself was raised by a single mother. Except she wasn't. Candace Owens dug into it and found that Erika's father, Kent Fransvey, was very much present and involved in her life. There's even a clip of Erika on Charlie's own show where she says Kent was a stay-at-home dad. On top of that, Erika's parents didn't even split until 1998, when she was 10 years old. And according to Candace, Erika's classmates and ex-boyfriends all confirmed that Kent stayed active in her life well into her teenage years. But even if you set Kent completely aside, Erika also had her stepfather, Larry Ginter, who was involved in her life all the way back to her early school days. So much for the single mother story. So let's add it all up, and when you lay everything out side by side, the picture that forms is nothing short of jaw-dropping. Erika had a stay-at-home dad actively present in her early years. She had an involved father who stayed in her life throughout her entire teenage years, even after the divorce. She had a stepfather, Larry Ginter, living under the same roof since her elementary school days. And on top of all of that, she had a mother who has apparently walked down the aisle 4 separate times.
I mean, one of her exes was very clear. He said to me, I was warned by another person in beauty pageant world that girl will do anything to get to the top and her mother will do anything to help her get to the top. Her mother herself, Lori, was a model, actually, at one point. So that hunger for Erika to get to the top, there is a connection just based on discussions that I have had with multiple people to her mother.
That is not the household of a single mother. That is a home full of adult figures, influences, and moving parts. And yet, with a straight face and zero hesitation, Erika looked the world in the eye and said she was raised by a single mother. Not once, not as a slip of the tongue, but as a deliberate talking point dropped into a major New York Times profile just days after one of the most shocking moments in recent memory. So why lie about something so specific, so checkable, so easy to disprove with a single phone call to anyone who grew up around her? That's the part that doesn't sit right. Because a person who lies by accident, who misremembers or exaggerates here and there, they don't construct stories this detailed. They don't build out a whole narrative with emotional layers and personal stakes. That kind of storytelling takes preparation. It takes practice. And if Candace Owens is right, Erika has had a lifetime of exactly that practice. And here's what makes it even more layered. This single mother story isn't just a random lie floating out there on its own. It fits perfectly into the larger image Erika has been building for years. The devoted Christian, the conservative tradwife, the woman who came from humble, hard beginnings and found purpose through faith and family. Every single piece of that image, when you hold it up to the light, starts to crack. The drinking footage, the 7 years of pageant training she pretended didn't exist, the aliases connected to her mother, the birthday that somehow changed by 2 days, the ex-boyfriends who got the same script, the wedding date she couldn't remember.
Erika's father, Kent Fronsvay, by the way, he's Kenneth Fronsvay, but he goes by Kent, was always in her life. So much so that for entire years of her childhood, Kent was actually a stay-at-home dad.
My dad was a stay-at-home dad for a few years, and I gotta say it was really sweet and really...
None of these things exist in isolation. They all point in the same direction. Now, some people watching this are going to say, okay, so she stretched the truth a little. Lots of people do that. And sure, that's fair. People exaggerate. People reframe their past in ways that make them look better. That's human nature. But there is a massive difference between polishing your story and systematically constructing a false identity across multiple relationships, multiple platforms, and multiple years. That's not self-improvement. That's something else entirely. Because think about what Erika actually pulled off. If the allegations are true, she convinced a man with no prior dating experience that she was something she wasn't. She built a public brand around values she apparently wasn't living by behind closed doors. She managed to keep an entire chapter of her life, 7 years of pageants, nights out in New York City, relationships, a very public social media presence buried deep enough that Charlie either never found it or never questioned it. And she did all of this while maintaining a persona so convincing that millions of people across the country bought into it completely. That level of performance doesn't come from nowhere. And that's exactly what Candace Owens keeps pointing back to, the idea that Erika doesn't lie the way a normal person lies. A normal person, when caught in a lie, stumbles. They over-explain. They get defensive and emotional. But Erika, according to those who've watched her closely, she speaks about her own past like someone reading carefully from a document they've memorized but don't fully understand. Like the words are right, but the connection to them isn't fully there. That's a very specific and very strange thing to observe in someone, and it's not something you can fake or manufacture on the spot. And then there's the mother, Lori, because you simply cannot talk about Erika without talking about Lori Fransby. And the moment you start pulling on that thread, things get even more intense. Multiple names across official documents. A shifting timeline that mirrors her daughter's own inconsistencies. A history that seems specifically designed to be difficult to verify. And according to Candace Owens, it was Lori who first pushed Erika into the pageant world, who trained her, who shaped her.
Erika was raised with her stepfather in her home, a man named Larry Ginta. In her high school yearbook, actually, Kent is included, her father, biological father, in a collage. Erika was exceedingly close to her stepfather, too. He's featured there, too. You've got Larry in the photo because he has been a fixture in her life since before her parents' divorce was ever finalized.
So if Erika was built to perform, who was the architect behind the performance? That question alone should make anyone pause. Because if there is any truth to the allegations that both Erika and Lori have ties to intelligence-connected circles, then everything we've been looking at suddenly takes on a completely different meaning. The tiny lies aren't careless mistakes, they're noise. Deliberate static designed to keep curious people spinning in circles, arguing over birthdays and drink counts, while the deeper story stays completely out of reach. In intelligence circles, that's a known tactic. You don't hide the truth by locking it away, you hide it by surrounding it with so much confusing, contradictory, irrelevant information that nobody knows where to start digging. And that brings us back, as it always does, to Charlie. Because at the center of all of this is a man who is no longer here to tell his side of the story. A man who, by many accounts, had little to no romantic experience before Erika entered his life. A man who built a massive platform, a loyal audience, and a very loud public voice, and then lost everything in the most sudden and dramatic way imaginable. And the woman standing closest to him during all of it is the same woman who can't keep her story straight about something as basic as whether she grew up with her father in the house. So was Charlie deceived from the very beginning? Was he a genuinely good man who fell for a carefully constructed persona and never saw the walls closing in? That's one possibility, and honestly, for a lot of people, it's the easiest one to believe. He was inexperienced, he was trusting, he wore his faith on his sleeve and likely extended that same faith to the woman he chose to build his life with. If Erika is everything the allegations suggest she is, then Charlie may have simply been the perfect target, open-hearted, publicly influential, and completely unprepared for someone operating at that level. But then there's the other possibility, the one that's darker and far more uncomfortable to sit with. What if Charlie wasn't deceived at all? What if he knew, or at least suspected, and was part of the same operation from the very start? And what if something changed? What if at some point Charlie decided he wanted out, wanted to expose something, wanted to use his platform in a way that wasn't part of the original plan? People who go rogue from systems far bigger than themselves rarely get to walk away quietly, and Charlie did not walk away quietly. Now, to be clear, these are questions, not conclusions, that are sitting right there on the table waiting to be connected. And the answer to whether Charlie was a victim or a participant or somehow both at different points may never be fully known. But the fact that the question even exists, the fact that it feels like a legitimate thing to ask given everything we've uncovered, says everything about just how deep this story actually goes. Because at the end of the day, what we are really dealing with here is a story about identity, about who gets to control the narrative of their own life, and what happens when that control starts to slip. Erika Kirk built a very specific identity, brick by brick, lie by lie, performance by performance, and for a long time it held together. But footage has a way of surviving. Documents have a way of surfacing. People who knew you back then have a way of remembering. And the internet, for better or worse, forgets absolutely nothing. Every contradicted timeline, every alias, every stumbled answer about a wedding date, every clip of a night out she swore never happened, they're all still out there. And people are still finding them, still comparing them, still asking the questions that Erika has never given a straight answer to. That's not going away. If anything, it's only getting louder. So where does this all land? Right back at the beginning with a woman who told the world she didn't drink, while footage of her drinking was sitting on her cousin's social media. A woman who said she was raised by a single mother, while her father, stepfather, and a rotating cast of family figures were all very much present. A woman who claimed she stumbled into pageants by accident, while records show 7 years of dedicated competition. A woman whose mother uses multiple names across official documents. A woman whose lies aren't random or careless, they are specific, consistent, and strangely coordinated. Whether Erika is simply a deeply calculated person who got very good at managing her image, or whether there is something far more structured and deliberate behind all of it, one thing is becoming impossible to deny. The whole situation, from beginning to wherever this is heading, is starting to look less like a messy public breakup and more like a carefully written script. And not even a good one, the kind where the plot holes are so obvious that you start wondering if the writer wanted you to find them. That's for you to decide. Connect the dots the way you see fit. But keep asking questions, because the moment people stop asking is exactly when the truth gets buried for good. If this video had your mind racing, smash that like button and share it with someone who needs to see the full picture. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you think Charlie knew the truth about Erika all along, or was he completely in the dark? We read every single comment, And this community always brings the most fire takes. Make sure you subscribe so you never miss when we drop the next one, because trust us, there is a whole lot more to uncover, and we are just getting started.